Have you ever seen a species that treats interstellar war like just another Tuesday? Sergeant Kesh muttered, staring at the battle footage before him. The war room was silent, its officers too engrossed in the chaos unfolding on the hollow screen. The Galactic Union had been at war with humanity for 6 months. It was supposed to be a simple operation, eliminate a primitive species before they could pose a threat. Reports had painted humans as underdeveloped, technologically outdated, biologically unimpressive, and few in number. And yet the war had been a complete disaster. "They're supposed to be new to the galactic stage," General Vorak grumbled, his 6 eyes narrowing. "Their ships are cobbled together from salvage, their weapons are centuries outdated. But look at this." He gestured toward the screen. A fleet of human vessels, battered and mismatched, patched together with pieces from a dozen different species, was tearing through an elite Union battle group. Humans didn't fight like disciplined soldiers. They fought like lunatics. They didn't retreat when their shields failed. They didn't eject when their ships were about to explode. They just kept fighting until their enemies were dead, or they were. A seasoned strategist with centuries of battle experience shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, the latest reports say the humans are adapting." Vorak's mandibles clicked. "Adapting how?" "They're using our weapons, our ships, our tactics." The room fell silent. "That's impossible," Kesh said. "It takes decades to train soldiers, to pilot our ships, years to understand our weapon systems." "Apparently," the officer muttered, "it takes humans about an afternoon." Vorak slammed his fist on the table. "This is ridiculous. They can't just steal our ships and use them better than we do." "They do, and they do it fast." A nervous murmur spread through the room. The humans weren't just winning, they were learning. Every battle they survived made them stronger. Every weapon they salvaged, they improved. Every strategy used against them, they adapted to. Every attempt to crush them only gave them more tools to work with. "We underestimated them," Kesh admitted, exhaling sharply. "No," Vorak muttered, watching as a single, heavily damaged human ship detonated inside the core of a Union battleship. "We didn't understand them at all." Meanwhile, aboard the human ship Havoc, Captain Reynolds wiped sweat from his forehead and leaned back in his seat. "How many of those crab-looking guys are left?" he asked. His ensign checked the readings. "Down to 2 battleships and a handful of cruisers." "That all?" Reynolds grinned. "All right, boys, let's wrap this up. I promised the crew we'd hit the bar after this one." Commander Hayes raised an eyebrow. "You do realize we're still in the middle of a war, right?" Reynolds shrugged. "Yeah, but they don't." "The enemy?" "No." Reynolds gestured at the fleet outside. "I mean us. The guys back home, they barely even care. I sent a report to Earth. This morning, told them we wiped out another fleet. You know what they said?" Hayes shook his head. "Cool. Keep up the good work. Let us know when it's over." Hayes sighed. "They do realize we're fighting an entire galactic empire, right?" "Yeah." Reynolds chuckled. "They just don't care. Back on Earth, this war isn't even in the top 3 trending news stories. Some guy invented a new way to deep-fry steak, and that's getting more attention than this." Hayes ran a hand down his face. "I don't know if that's terrifying or impressive." "It's both," Reynolds said, stretching. "Now let's finish this up, so we can go home and find out what deep-fried steak tastes like." Admiral Threx of the Galactic Union sat alone, staring at the war map. The red lines of human advancement stretched farther than they should. Entire sectors had fallen in days, territories the Union had ruled for centuries. "They aren't stopping," he muttered. Every species had a breaking point. Every species had limits. Every war had a moment when exhaustion set in. But humans fought like war was just another part of life, no different from farming or trade. They weren't the strongest species, or the smartest, or the most technologically advanced, but they were something far worse. They were normalizing war. Other species made treaties, stockpiled weapons, planned for war as a catastrophic event. But for humans, war wasn't an exception. It was just something that happened sometimes, and that was the scariest part. Because if war was normal for humans, what happened when they got good at it? Threx's generals gathered in the war room, their expressions tense. "Admiral," one of them reported hesitantly, "we lost the Barris sector." Threx's claws tapped rhythmically against the table. "Barris was one of our most fortified strongholds." "What happened?" A silence fell before another officer answered, his voice reluctant. "They didn't just take it. They moved in." Threx narrowed his eyes. "Explain." "They didn't bomb the cities. They didn't destroy infrastructure. They just walked in and took over. And then they fixed things." Threx's mandibles twitched. "They what?" "They restored power grids, repaired water systems, restarted factories. And then they put up signs saying, 'Now, under new management, human resources available.'" Threx felt a sinking dread. "You're telling me they conquered an entire sector and turned it into a functioning colony overnight?" "Not just functioning," another general muttered. "Thriving." For the first time in his career, Threx felt something close to fear. Humans didn't just fight differently, they thought differently. They didn't burn what they conquered, they absorbed it. And the worst part? The civilians liked it. More sectors fell, not to military force, but to recruitment. Entire planets switched sides. Threx gritted his teeth as he listened to an intercepted human broadcast. "Hey, Union forces, tired of getting your rations cut? Tired of officers treating you like expendable grunts? We've got openings, better pay, actual days off. Ever tried grilling? Humans love grilling. You should try it." Threx slammed the console. "They're making war sound fun." His officers looked at him grimly. "Sir," one of them said carefully, "it's working." And then came the final blow. "Sir!" An aide burst into the war room. "The capital, it's under siege." Threx stiffened. "What? The human fleet is still weeks away." "They didn't use a fleet." The aide swallowed hard. "They used a shipment." The hollow screen flickered to life, showing security footage from the capital's loading docks. A massive freighter marked as a neutral trade vessel had landed smoothly. Hundreds of cargo containers were offloaded. Then the containers opened. Human soldiers poured out, moving quickly, taking key positions before anyone even realized what was happening. Within hours, the city had fallen. Threx's claws dug into the table. "They smuggled an invasion force into our capital through regular shipping routes?" His officers sighed. "Sir, they declared the contents." Threx's mandibles clicked in frustration. "What did it say?" The manifest appeared on the screen. In clear, bold letters, it read, 100,000 highly motivated employees, armed and ready for immediate deployment. Silence. Threx slumped back, numb. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Captain Reynolds's face appeared on the hollow screen, grinning. "Now," he said. "Now we do what humans do best." Threx swallowed hard. "Which is—" Reynolds leaned forward. "We build."